In the wake of the terrorist attack on a kosher market in Paris, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issued an impassioned call for French Jews to come home to Israel. Joining us now to talk about that is Alan Ronkin, Regional Director of the American Jewish Committee's Washington, D.C. office. Alan, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'd like to get your opinion about this. AJC has offices all over the world, including one in Paris. Do you think that it has become too hostile in France for Jews?
No, I think we're in a very important time. It's kind of a defining moment for us now. And French society is going to have to make a decision as to how it's going to be protecting its minorities. And certainly the Jewish community is often the canary in the coal mine. Because the issue of anti-Semitism in France isn't really a Jewish issue. It's a European issue. It's how does a society take care of the people that are sometimes the weakest. And the Jewish community, being small, is in a position to really need to be taken care of at this point.
Well, you talk about the Jewish community being small. I'd like to get your take on a recent article by Jonah Goldberg in which he said that Jews are facing numerical obstacles. You know, on one hand, if you have the Jews going back to Israel, it strengthens Israel. But on the flip side, if they leave places like France and Europe and wherever else, it weakens Jews overall.
I think that's true. And the thing is, we really can't tell the Jews of France what to do. All we can do is support them in the decisions that they want to make, and which means if they want to be going to Israel or to come to the United States or wherever, we'll try to make it as easy as for them to do that. But I think there's too much history, there's too much, thousands of years of Jewish culture in France to just be sort of run out on a rail is just not okay. Can't allow it.
Many European cities are now calling themselves Israel-free zones, which means they don't want any Israeli products and any references to Israeli culture because they disagree with Israel's policies towards Palestine. Does this concern you?
Well, sure. It's always concerning when you have small pockets of people who are closed-minded in that way and who would really throw out the baby with the bathwater. The only real way to achieve any kind of peace or any kind of living in harmony is to engage with one another and to have a situation where people are banned or somehow boycotted doesn't really contribute to anything and doesn't do anything for anyone.
Do you think that disagreement with the state of Israel gives rise to anti-Semitism?
Well, I think there's a word for people who disagree with the state of Israel. It's called Israelis. You have half of the population of the country at any given time disagrees with its government's policy, just like here. Anti-Semitism is a whole other kettle of fish. When you deny the Jewish people the right to exist, when you say that Jews are different from other people in a negative way, that's anti-Semitism. Disagree with Israeli policy all you want, but it's very different from being an anti-Semite.
So many of the viewers of CBN and the people who support our ministry are very concerned about what appears to be deteriorating relationship between America and Israel. Could you comment about the relationship, the strained relationship between President Obama and Benjamin Netanyahu?
Well, look, every world leader has close and far ties, and it really depends on what's going on at a given time. The President has been very clear about his strong support of Israel's right to exist and to take Israel into account when it comes to all kinds of foreign decisions that the government has to make at all times. The same thing is true of Prime Minister Netanyahu, who is obviously America is Israel's best friend and will continue to always be Israel's best friend, has taken that relationship very seriously. And so things come and go between politicians and governments, but I think the relationship between the United States and Israel based on values and shared interests is very strong and certainly much better than any relationship Israel has with any other country in the world.
All right. Alan Ronkin, thanks so much for being with us and for your insights.
Thank you so much, Lori.